It is, let's see, Thursday, August 10th, and today we are gonna pick up where we left off yesterday. So yesterday I said we were gonna give our Big Ten predictions today, and that is true. I'm gonna be doing that today. I'm also gonna be talking about Auburn a little bit, but we're gonna save most of that for Saturday. Wink, wink. We got something coming in there. But today, we are going to be talking about the Big Ten. So obviously, last year, the Michigan Wolverines are the ones who won, the Big Ten title, just barely, obviously, but, they went up against, let's see, who was it? Let's see. Purdue, it was for the Big Ten title. And, yeah, every single year, the Big Ten title seems to get less and less interesting with obviously this year being Purdue, and sometimes it's Wisconsin, sometimes freaking some random other team. But uh, this year, obviously, I would say probably three teams in the Big Ten East probably have a shot at possibly winning the prob the probable championship of the Big Ten. Obviously, the East really hasn't like won the Big Ten in like, whew, man, it's been a long time. I don't even really remember the last time uh a non-Big Ten East team won the Big Ten. So I don't believe that's gonna happen this year just because the Big Ten is super weak. But maybe when like USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington get in there, maybe the Big Ten West, is it? Yeah, the Big Ten West will have a better shot at winning the title. So I'm gonna pull up our little notes here, and we are going to start on these predictions. Starting with Michigan. Their strength of schedule is not great. I mean, obviously you see here they faced Eastern Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. Those are their non-conference games, and I mean, uh, Michigan always schedules like crap. It feels like just because of the fact that they know that if they schedule a actual decent team, I mean, we've seen before, or maybe that was Ohio State, lost to Oregon. I think it was. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was Oregon. It was in 2021. Ohio State lost to Oregon, and since then, uh, there's really not been like a ton of great non-conference games for them. So, all right. The first week they play Eastern Carolina. Their strength of schedule, like I said, is not great. The only ranked teams they'll be probably facing all year is going to be most likely Penn State and Ohio State. So it's always for Michigan, though, that they have like the weakest schedule in the entire Big Ten, just because I don't know if they're just scared to schedule like an actual decent non-conference team. But it's kind of ridiculous how a team that is basically in the college football playoffs year after year can't at least schedule one non-conference ranked game in like 10 years. When was the last time they actually scheduled like I think it was 2018. They scheduled Notre Dame, and I think they lost. Yeah, week 1 they lost to Notre Dame, and that was the last time they really had a actual difficult non-conference game. All right, so let's get in here to the well, before we get into the prediction, we got to preview Michigan. Um, Obviously last year they were the number two seed, was it? In the college football playoffs. Obviously, major disappointment not being able to make it to the championship game. I think if anything, Michigan probably would have put up a better fight than TCU in the championship game, just because their offense is just it was so good last year. and obviously, what's his name? Blake Corum going down with that injury didn't help, but um obviously this year returning most of their team aside from like a few transfers, and obviously Wilson is coming back. Uh, obviously, Ronnie Bell's not there anymore, so they're gonna be really looking to replace that talent on the wide receiving end. But it's really not always about wide receivers for Michigan. It's really about the run game, and it's obviously going to be the best in the country once again this year. I think it's not even like a competition. I mean, last year they nearly had two 1,000-yard rushers with Corum and Donovan Edwards, who are most likely going to be top running back prospects in this upcoming draft class. Uh, obviously, I don't think like the new rule changes are gonna affect Michigan any. I think they're still gonna pound the ball down people's throats, and I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. Cause obviously, I think what what is Donovan Edwards? I think he's a junior. So yeah, most likely he'll be gone. But after that, they got Alex Orji, they've got Davis Warren. They always get the highest running back recruits in the nation. Um, and obviously they sneak in a couple five-star receivers too. But we're not here to talk about recruiting. Um, I think Michigan, obviously they returned most of their talent from last year, returning 86 total players, I think it is. Yeah, 86 total players, lost 31. So obviously they didn't lose anybody. So I feel like this is going to be about the same team as last year, not really losing much NFL talent at all, except DJ Turner and Mazzie Smith, which I mean are pretty replaceable pieces there. So I'm definitely not concerned talent wise for Michigan. Obviously, they returned JJ McCarthy. He's going to be gone this season. So in the future, they're going to have obviously a new quarterback up there next season. Um, but let's get into it. So East Carolina, that's obviously going to be a win. No competition in these first like 4 games, most likely. So first 3 wins. Um, Rutgers, I don't see them beating them. I don't understand why they don't just fire their head coach already. Nebraska could be a really interesting game with Matt Rule taking over there. I think it is. Yeah, Matt Rule. I almost got mistaken for Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, but that should be an interesting game. I don't think Nebraska has the talent yet to compete with Michigan, but I'd say it's probably going to be one of the closer games. Let's just go ahead and add more wins in here. Um, I just don't understand strength of schedule wise why the big the obviously it's going to be harder in the future. I mean, the Big Ten West is not strength. It's not strong. Aside from like Wisconsin, I think Illinois, and maybe Nebraska. I don't really think talent wise they have the same like talent in general as the Big Ten West East does. Sorry. But let's keep going here. Michigan State. That's always gonna be a game. It's like, I mean, who knows? But I just feel like that one season where they lost to Michigan State was such a fluke. Purdue when, and this is really when it gets interesting, because obviously Penn State hasn't beat Michigan in a while, and that's really like the teams they get strung up on. Michigan, I think, is probably the best team in the Big Ten this year, so I think they beat Penn State. I think they beat Maryland, and, whew, man, I don't know if I should do an Ohio State prediction here yet, just because it's such a hard game to predict. Because I mean, teams, they're not. I mean, really, talent level. It's nothing but an inch in talent wise. Um, Quarterback wise, I'll say obviously Michigan has the better quarterback, but we seen last year how bad Ohio State's defense was in that game. Uh, I just don't know if I want to bet on Ohio State losing three straight to Michigan. I think it was three straight. Yeah, they beat them 2021, and they also beat them in 2022. So I just don't know if I want to bet on them losing three straight games to Michigan. So, this is tough. I'm gonna say loss. I think they're not gonna be in the Big Ten championship. 11-1, I have it. So, I think that's 11-1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, 11-1, losing to the Ohio State University. Uh, I don't really have a reason there, but why they're losing to Ohio State. I just feel like it's talent-wise, it's just really close, and it's really hard to predict an Ohio State Michigan game at this point in the season, but that's going to be my quote unquote way too early prediction here. Moving on to Ohio State. Obviously, last year was extremely disappointing for them because they expect to be right there, like in the Big Ten championship nearly every single season. Obviously, always going to come down to the Michigan game. But when you really look at it, there really wasn't that huge of a skill gap between Michigan and Ohio State, even though Michigan beat Ohio State pretty bad. Uh, I I say like talent wise, uh, Ohio State returns, Travion Henderson, Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming, Marvin Harrison, obviously, Cade Stover, most of their O line, including Donovan Jackson, obviously, returning JT Tumalo, I don't know how to spell his name. Jack Sawyer's coming back. Denzel Burks is back for another year, but I really just question defensively wise if they can survive throughout the season and not struggle really badly defensively wise, because obviously that's always been a struggle for them, right? So it's just really going to be a question on if Ohio State can improve defensive wise, and if not, what is their like ceiling here? I think, I mean, they obviously have to face Notre Dame. That's not going to be an easy game, especially with Sam Hartman coming to Ohio State. It's not going to be easy, obviously. So, uh, let's just get into it here before I talk y'all's heads off. So first week, Indiana, that's a win. I don't understand why they start with a Big Ten game, but yeah. Youngstown State. See, this is the non-conference games the Big Ten gets, and that's why teams want to move there because they get the weakest conference games, non-conference games. Sorry. They have to face. They gotta play at Notre Dame. That is going to be a fight. I mean, I will tell you that's not going to be a blowout at all. We saw last year how close of a game that was. Obviously, a two-game like series. I think they're playing. Uh, let's see, what was the score last year? It was 21-10. So when you really think about it, the only reason Ohio State won that game is because of C.J. Stroud and the talent level he brings to the table. And we don't really know how good Kyle McCord or whatever starter they're going to be having. We don't really know how good they're going to be yet. So, I mean, level, I don't doubt that they both have really great potential on their hands. But when it comes to arm wise, Sam Hartman, he's going to outthrow a first time starting quarterback out there. Obviously, Kyle McCord's been waiting his turn, so I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that he's gonna start. It's just really, it's gonna be really interesting to see how he does in the regular season. I think they pull out the win at Notre Dame, but I think just like barely, just by an inch. Um, all right, I think they beat Maryland. I think they beat Purdue. Now this is where I'm kind of like, ugh. This is just, this is probably the toughest game of the season besides Michigan for them. Uh, Obviously having to go up against a much improved Penn State team. Uh, we saw last year with that Penn State team. What was the score? It was 31 to 44, and it was really Penn State's game to win, and then all hell broke loose, and JT, whatever the frick his last name is, started going crazy, getting interceptions, getting fumbles, getting sacks. But with that being said, I feel like Penn State's a much improved team this year. Obviously having uh Olu Fashanu back, the junior, one of the highest projected offensive line for the upcoming draft class, but it really looks to me like the talent level has really like it's really hard to tell who's gonna win this game. Uh, this is gonna be a hot take, and it's gonna trigger like many college football fans. But I'm gonna say they lose. Versus they're at home. Yeah, never mind. I didn't see that. They're at home, so yeah, that's an easy win, honestly. Last year, if Drew Aller actually started, I would say Penn State has a better shot at that game. But they kind of wasted their opportunity here because Ohio State's not losing to Penn State at home. So, just a quick change there. Win there. I don't think they really lose any more games. And aside from the Michigan game, which I said they win, um, so 12-0, I'll have them in the Big Ten championship game. So I have them at 12-0, and that's really like, it's not hard to think that Ohio State might go 12-0 just because of the fact that, I mean, you go to their schedule, other than Penn State and Michigan, they really don't have any tests on their schedule. And I mean, receiving core wise, I mean, it's really gonna be hard for any team to stop Emeka Ekbuka, Marvin Harrison, and Julian Fleeman, and who's their other guy that they just got? I forgot his name. Jaden Ballard, I think it is. Yeah, Jaden Ballard. He's also a five-star recruit. So it's just gonna be really hard to stop that. And well, we'll just have to see in the regular season how that pans out. But right now, I have them at 12-0 in the Big Ten championship game. All right, moving on to Penn State, who I have listed as one of my dark horse candidates. So, obviously last season going, let's see, what was the record? 11-2, going to the Rose Bowl and defeating Utah. It was a massive improvement, given the fact that the previous last seasons they've really underperformed, and now it's kind of like, well, they've got Drew Aller, Nicholas Singleton's back. They got Dante Cephas from Kent State, who's a really good receiver. They've got what's his name back? Theo Johnson, and their defense is really solid. So this is kind of what I would call a make or break season for James Franklin, because yes, he went 11-2 last year, but I feel like he has much more to prove than just an 11-2 record, and I don't think you can get that done, to be completely honest. Because I mean, talent level wise, I think the receiving core compared to Michigan and Ohio State, it's nowhere close. It doesn't even like scratch the surface as close to Ohio State's talent level and Michigan's talent level rushing wise. And I just don't see them beating Michigan and Ohio State this year, to be completely honest. I just don't see it happening. Um, Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Michigan or Ohio State slips up, but I just don't see it happening. So I have them winning their first four, definitely. And then UMass, obviously, that's going to be a win. Ohio State already listed them as a loss there. If they were at home, I would definitely say win, but they're not. So, but Beaver Stadium and versus Michigan is going to be really tough. But I say that they lose. Sorry, I put win for some reason. But I do think they win out here. It's not crazy to think they're gonna go 10-2. I think they get a New Year's Six bowl, but I really just don't see them getting over the hump of losing to Ohio State and Michigan. I just don't see it this year, especially with JJ McCarthy still there. Ohio State, I would see more, but just given the fact they're at home, I just don't see it happening. All right, moving on to the Maryland Terrapins, who are much improved coming off of a bowl win versus NC State last year. Um, so I could definitely see them winning 9 games this season, given the fact that they won 8 games. They really looked like they were gonna win more, but obviously they gave Michigan fits last year, and it really did look like they were gonna pull that game out. But just at the end there, they kind of just slipped up and lost that game. So let's get into it here. I think they win their first three. Michigan's at Michigan State. I think they win that game. I think they win against Indiana. So starting off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0. I think they lose to Ohio State. Let's see what 5-1. Let me just put that down here. I think they lose to Illinois. So 5-2. I think they win against Northwestern. Hold on. Let's get. So at 6 wins now. I think they lose to Penn State. It's 6 wins, 3 losses. Nebraska is going to be a really tough game, but I think they win. So I've got them at 7 wins now. I think they lose against Michigan, and I think they win against Rutgers. So 8-4. Probably not the craziest thing to project here. I think that's probably about their potential, and I would say that's pretty much their ceiling. I think they can obviously flip a few games. Um, Obviously, I think they could flip the Illinois game. So I would say their ceiling is about 9 wins. I just don't think talent level wise they have it this year to beat uh, Penn State, Michigan. But I could definitely see them beating Illinois and getting about 9 wins, say. Uh, but yeah, that's about it for them, I would say. All right, so Michigan State, tough strength of schedule. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough year for Michigan State, losing their two best receivers, losing their starting quarterback. It's gonna be really, really tough for them this season. Man, all that money they paid Mel Tucker for one successful season. I mean, yeah, they won the Peach Bowl, but I mean, man, that was a bad, bad deal. I mean, he, man, I can't even begin to explain how immature of a like money deal that was, giving him like $70 million for what? One major bowl appearance in the last 5 years he's been here. I mean, it was ridiculous. And I mean, yeah, I get it. They haven't won a New Year's Six bowl since that God knows when. I don't even know, honestly. But it's been a while since Michigan State's been like really successful. And the last time they really appeared in a major bowl game was 2015, I think it was, against Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. So, um, it was just a jump to pay Mel Tucker that much money, but I mean, they can't they can't get rid of him now. First two games wins. I think they lose versus Washington. So 2-1. I think I had them losing against, yeah, 2-2. Iowa Hawkeyes. I think they scrape out a win just barely, 3-2. I think they lose to Rutgers, 3-3. I think they lose to Michigan, 3-4. I think they lose against Minnesota, 3-5. I think they barely scrape out a win against Nebraska. Okay, I think they lose to the Buckeyes, obviously. So, what is it? 7, 4-6. I think they win against Indiana. And I think they lose against Penn State. So 5-7 again for Michigan State. I think probably with their strength of schedule, I think that's probably about right for them. Uh, so I have them at 5-7, and now we move on to Rutgers, who honestly needs to fire their head coach so badly. I mean, whew, man, why do they keep that guy if they keep doing the same thing year in and year out? I just don't understand. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense why they keep that guy at the head coach, given the fact that the last time they made a bowl game was in 2021 and it was a fluke. They shouldn't have even made it. They only made it because of a asterisk. I mean, they really did. I mean, they shouldn't have made a bowl game that year. And the really last time they've made a bowl game was in 2014. And literally the whole time Greg has been here, what is it? His fourth year. So 2020, 2021, and 2022, and this year, right? So he's basically not even made a bowl game. He's gone 3-6, 5-8, and 4-8. And I really don't necessarily see that changing anytime soon. And I think there's a lot of guys out there. Troy's head coach, let's see, Tulane may not be open to moving, but their head coach, there's a lot of head coaches they could go for out there to improve their program. But I think it's got to happen soon because they're not really getting anywhere with Greg Sanchio, I think it is. But let's get on to it. Starting off with Northwestern, I think they win that game, 1-0. I think they get upset by the Temple Owls, 1-1. I think they win against Virginia Tech, 2-1. I think they lose against Michigan. Who the frick is Wagner Seahawks? I've never heard of that team in my life, but they would be the team to lose to them. But I'll have them as a win, 3-2. Losing to Wisconsin, 3-3. Losing to Michigan State, or I think, let me check. Okay, I had Rutgers winning that game. So win, 4-3. I'll have them losing to Indiana, 4-4. And then I basically have them losing the rest of the games out. Losing to the Buckeyes, 4-5. Losing to Iowa, 4-6. Losing to Penn State, 4-7, and losing to Maryland 4-8. All right, so far we've got Michigan down 11-1, Ohio State down 12-0, 10-2 for Penn State, 8-4 for Maryland, 5-7 for Michigan, 4-8 for Rutgers. Now we got Indiana. Indiana's a team that really hasn't had much success, but it feels like lately they just got a transfer quarterback from Tennessee, Taven Jackson. He should be pretty good, so I think it'll be a solid year for them. I could definitely see them scraping out like 6 wins maybe. So it really just depends on their strength of schedule. Obviously, you see here they've got Indiana State, Louisville, and Akron. So in terms of winnability, they've got solid winnability here. It just really matters if they can scrape out some extra wins against like Illinois, Maryland. Obviously, I already had them losing, but yeah. All right. Start off 0-1, obviously to Ohio State. 1-1 Indiana State Sycamores. Louisville. I think that's a loss. I really like Louisville this year, honestly. Akron Zips. 2-2 with a win. Maryland. I think I had them losing. Yeah. All right. So Indiana loss. 2-3. Definitely a loss to Michigan. 2-4. Let's see. Rutgers. I had them losing to them. Okay. So win. 3-4. Definitely a loss to Penn State. Definitely a loss to Wisconsin. Illinois definitely lost. And wait, let's see, where do I have Michigan State here? Okay, I had them winning that game, so 3-8. And then versus Purdue, I think they finish out 3-9. So the worst team in the Big Ten, most likely. So let's move on to the West. Starting off with Wisconsin, who I am really, really high on. They're actually one of my dark horses to actually be in the Big Ten championship. I mean, I just think it makes a lot of sense. They've got Luke Fickell. I'm really high on Tanner Mordecai. I mean, when you look at what he did at SMU, he's gonna be one of the best passers probably in the Big Ten. And obviously, with that rushing attack, you've got Braylon Allen, who is likely going to be a first-round pick when you really think about it. Wisconsin running backs usually are, but yeah, I really feel highly about this Wisconsin team. So let's get into it here. Starting off 1-0. That's going to be a tough game at Washington, but I think they pull away and go 2-0. I think they start the season 3-0. Make that 4-0. 5-0. And wait, is this at Iowa? Okay, no, it's at Wisconsin. So I think they start 6-0. I think they lose to Illinois. So 6-1. I think they lose to the Buckeyes. I think they beat the Hoosiers, obviously. Beat Northwestern. And I think they beat Nebraska. And I think they also beat Minnesota. So 10-2. We're just going to try to finish up the rest of these predictions. And that will probably lead us into about halfway point in this stream. So, Iowa, obviously, Kirk Friends, he's back again after another mediocre 8-5 season. So, it's gonna be interesting to see what goes on this season for them, because I think what their ceiling probably is about 7 wins. Uh, I just really don't see him lasting much longer there, given the fact he's been there 25 dang years. I mean, think about it. Retire already. I mean, really, this dude needs to retire. I don't even know how old he is, but I'm pretty sure he's like in his 60s. Let's just check real quick. Kirk Friend. Yeah, so he's 68 years old. This man needs to get in that retirement chair. I mean, really. He is so old. I mean, think about it. When you really look at it, it's just, oof, man. It's tough to have a it's tough to have a head coach for that long, just because given the fact that, I mean, obviously season after season you might struggle, uh and looking at their schedule, it just seems like they're gonna struggle again this year with their strength of schedule. So let's get into it here. Utah State win, loss against Iowa State, win against Western Michigan, 2-2. That's a loss. Michigan State, wait, what do I have them at right here? I had them winning, so loss. 2-3. Purdue, I think that'll be a win, just barely, but I think they'll scrape out a win. 2-4, or 3-4. Wisconsin, that's a loss. I think they'll lose against Minnesota. I think they win against Northwestern. I think they, wait, Rutgers. Okay, yeah. I think they beat them. Nebraska's in this side, so I think they beat not Illinois. I think they beat Northwestern, Rutgers. I think they lose to Illinois, and I think they lose to Nebraska, and they miss a bowl game. I just really don't see them being very good for much longer, given the fact that season after season, they run the same type of offense. I mean, the really only thing that they have going for them is their defense. And, I mean, yeah, defense can keep you in the game, but at the end of the day, who's scoring points for you? It's your offense. So, when you struggle offensively, you struggle defensively, too. Alright, so next up is Illinois. I will just go ahead and say this. I'm extremely high on Illinois this season. Uh, Given the fact last year that they went 8-5 with Tommy DeVito, they have an even better quarterback coming in this season, Luke Altmaier. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they do this season. So let's get into it. Win their loss. Whew, man, Kansas is gonna be really good this year. I think they start off 1-2. Rough start there for them, but I think they rebound against Florida Atlantic, 2-2. I think they beat Purdue. I think they beat Nebraska. Who do I have winning this game? I think, okay, yeah. 5-2 Maryland. I think I had them actually losing here. Okay, yeah, I had them losing. So, a win against Wisconsin, 6-2. I think they'll slip up and lose to Minnesota, 6-3. 7-3. 8-3 right here. and then 9-3. I think they barely miss out on the Big Ten championship, just because I feel like they just have a tendency to slip up in the like smallest games. Like last year, Indiana and Michigan State and Purdue. This year I think it'll be Kansas, Penn State, and I think I had Minnesota being them. So yeah. All right, moving on to Minnesota. Um, Obviously their 7-year franchise quarterback might as well be the NFL over here. Uh, they finally lost Tanner Morgan, so this year filling in is most likely either going to be Cole Kramer or Athen blah blah blah. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so it should be interesting to see who's going to win that quarterback battle there. But when you look at strength of schedule wise, I mean, they have probably the best shot at winning the Big Ten West. I mean, they don't have to play Wisconsin at home. They don't have to play Michigan State at home. They don't. I mean, they have a lot of home games. So starting off with Nebraska, I think they win. So 1-0, 2-0. Oof, that's gonna be a tough game. I think they lose 2-1. And I think they win against Northwestern. I think they win against Louisiana. So 4-1. I think they lose against Michigan's 4-2. I think they beat Iowa. Okay, yeah. Just making sure I got that right. Michigan State. Yeah. 6-2. Illinois, I think I have them losing to them. 7-2. I think they lose to Purdue. Wait, no. No. Yeah. Yeah. 7-3 lose to Purdue. 7-4 lose to Ohio State, and then Wisconsin. I think I have them. Yeah. So 7-5 for Minnesota, and moving on to Nebraska. I'm not going to talk about them for that long, but I think talent-wise they're moving in the right direction with a new head coach. Matt Rule's there now, so I feel like he gets them going a little bit in the right direction. It's not going to be an automatic turnaround, I don't think. But I feel like they finally are moving in the direction where they can succeed again. So, lost to Minnesota. I think they win against Colorado. I think they beat NIU. I think they beat Louisiana Tech, so 3-1 starting. I think they lose to Michigan. I think they lose to Illinois. I obviously think they beat Northwestern. I think they beat Purdue. Actually, no, I think they lose to Purdue. I think they... Wait, Michigan State. Okay, I think they beat Michigan State. Or lose to Michigan State. I think they... Wait, Turbans... Okay, yeah. 4-6. 4-7. And Iowa, yeah, they lose. So I think they go 5-7. All right, Northwestern. Obviously their head coach is gone, so that is just they're not gonna do good this season. That's all I have to say about them. They're not gonna be good. They lost their head coach. They're already not good. They haven't made a bowl game since 2020, which is when they made a Big Ten title. So, whew, man, it's gonna be rough for them. All right, so starting off, Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Northwestern loss. Think they win against UTEP. Think they lose against Duke. Think they lose against Minnesota. 1-3. Loss against Penn State. Win against Howard. And basically lose against everybody now. 2-5. 2-6. 2-7. 2-8. 2-9 and 2-10. Alright, moving on now. Because I don't want to talk about Northwestern because they suck. Alright, moving on now to Purdue. They lost their head coach. So that's something to talk about. But when you look at it, I mean, they got a new quarterback. They've got plenty of receivers. I mean, they look okay. I mean, I think they could make a bowl game this season, but I really just don't see it happening with the games they have on the schedule. I just don't see it, and well, these are my predictions for them. Alright, Fresno State win. I think they win against Virginia Tech. I think they lose against Syracuse. I think they lose against Wisconsin. Illinois. Let me make sure I have them. Okay, yeah. So 2-4 now. Lost against Ohio State. Nebraska. Did I have them winning? No. Okay. 3-5. 3-6. 3-7. And then Northwestern, obviously I have them winning this game. And Indiana, which I think I have them, yeah. So, 5-7. And, alright, so, I have, let's see, who is the best record? 10-2, 7-5, 9-3. So yeah, I have Wisconsin, and Michigan. Well, Wisconsin and Ohio State in the Big Ten title, and I think, well, I'm not gonna give my predictions for this because obviously we're not there yet, so I think I'm gonna stop with the predictions here for the Big Ten for now, and call that. So let's go back to full camera here. So I know it may be a little bit controversial just because of the fact that, you know, I have Michigan losing to Ohio State, given the fact that they beat them the last 2 years. I just think it's really, really 50-50 because depending on how Ohio State, obviously these are just my preseason predictions, so they're not locked in. So when week 1 comes, I will have different predictions. But as we get closer and closer to that game, then we really get a sense of, well, how this game might go. It just really depends on if Ohio's defense has improved any this season. And if not, man, I see Michigan winning. But if so, I see Ohio State winning, given the fact that I don't think Michigan can guard their wide receivers, and I think Marvin Harrison could honestly win Heisman this year. Uh, but I don't think he'll be given a chance to win Heisman, is the thing. All right, since we're officially done with that, I'm gonna talk about a couple more college football things, and then we are going to uh take the take a break, and then we're gonna come back, finish up, and I will stream back probably tomorrow. Uh, so just quickly before we go to break, um, speaking about fall camp, uh, I don't want to say too much about Auburn because we're gonna have a basically an Auburn special Saturday, just talking Auburn mostly. So, um, I've really heard Jay Fair and Robbie Ashford has been shining at fall camp. Uh, Sadly, I was in a Twitter space yesterday and I was talking. Sadly, most of everybody doesn't see Robbie Ashford starting this year just because, we got Peyton Thorne, obviously Holden Griner. Um, don't know what's up with him. He's really been developing on the bench for the last couple of years. So I don't think we see him or Robbie. Well, I think we see Robbie this season. Obviously, I think just because just because of his athleticism, I think we see him in a couple of packages. Uh, but just previewing receiver wise, I heard I've been on Auburn Undercover reading about fall camp. Jay Fair, 3-star recruit, I think it was a couple years back, in the Malzahn, no, in the Harsin class. Uh, I've really heard lots of good things about him, and I heard he's poised for a massive leap here in this upcoming season. So I'm really excited to see what we have for our receiving core. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about Auburn football too much here because we're going to have a basically an all Auburn special, just talking Auburn recruiting, Auburn basketball, Auburn everything basically. But so yeah, I'm really confident in our receiver group this season. So we'll just have to see. All right, moving on from that, Ole Miss, Quinshawn Judkins, has been shining and shining, year after year here. Obviously, he's a sophomore. I see him going to the NFL this season. Best running back in the SEC by far, not even close right now. I think it's probably more close between Jarquez Hunter and him. But Quentin Judkins nearly had 2,000 rushing yards last season, eclipsing 1,500. Uh, Obviously winning freshman of the year. Uh, I heard he looks even better in fall camp this year. And it's going to be really exciting for Ole Miss to see what he does this year. And really just looking at if he improves any. I don't even know if he can improve any. Has he hit his ceiling? I'm not really sure yet, but we'll find out. So this is going to lead us into break here. Uh, Obviously, I'll be back here in about 10 minutes, I would say. So we're hitting a break here, and I will see you guys after the break. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Um, we are nearing our hour part in the stream. Uh, so we are changing from NCAA football to NBA now. Um, there's not really a lot of news to talk about in the NBA, just given the fact that we're still 2 months away um from the regular season. So not much to talk about here, but I just want to talk about a couple things here before we go for the day. Obviously, Anthony Edwards got into a little trouble. He got fined some chunk change for swinging a chair at a woman. Well, I think it was a security guard actually. I'm not really sure. I can't show the clip, but I did I did hear that he got fined 50K. Um Basically chunk change. I mean, really look at it. If you really look at it, he makes what, 200 million? Let's see. Anthony Edwards contract. He makes 260 million this year, or he signed a contract extension worth 260 million. So chunk change really to him. So that's not really a big deal. Um. Let's see. Let's see what news we got here. Nicholas Kerr, son of Steve Kerr, got promoted to head coach of the Santa Cruz Warriors, which is basically the Warriors G League team. And the reason why I mentioned that, I mean, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's the G League team, right? Well, no, I mean, it is a big deal just because of the fact that, I mean, it really looks like to me Steve Kerr is grooming his potential replacement. I'm not really sure how old Nicholas Kerr is. Let's see. He is. Let's see. Anything about him on here? I think he's 20. Let's see. Come on. Okay, he's 30 years old. So, I mean, yeah, he has time uh to be groomed into that position. And that's really what it looks like to me. Obviously Steve Kerr's not going anywhere, right? He basically just signed a contract extension with the Warriors for like 7 years. So, I don't actually believe he's going anywhere. It just it's really interesting to me that of all people, the Warriors promote Steve Kerr's son to the G League head coach. You just gotta start to wonder there, what are they pulling? But obviously with the new GM, I don't really think that that means anything. So, I don't really think it's as crazy as everyone is making it out to be. So, all right, moving on from that, Team USA is um in full swing here with a very mediocre team. Um, Actually, I want to just let's see the roster. All right, I just want to Paulo Banchero, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Jaren Jackson Jr., Cam Johnson, Walker Kessler, shout out to Auburn, let's go. Bobby Portis, Austin Reeves, head coach Steve Kerr, assistant Eric Spoelstra, Tyronn Lue, Mark Few. That's interesting. But when you really look at it, this team is weak. Really, I mean, um, I think Cade Cunningham was on the team. I'm not really sure. He might be. I swear I heard. I'm not really sure, but yeah. Um, it just looks to me like Team USA just keeps getting like weak and weaker every single year. And I mean, yeah, are we gonna win the gold medal? Yeah, most likely. But when you look at that team, it's just really, really sad. Looking at what it used to be and what it is now, just because of how much has changed. Uh, I mean, obviously, nobody really values a gold medal anymore. But obviously, when you look back, just to not too long ago, it was Kobe, LeBron, freaking prime Chris Paul, uh, and a bunch of other players. But it's just really not improved whatsoever. Honestly, I mean, at this point, who's gonna be on the team next year? Freaking Markel Fultz. I mean, no diss to Markel Fultz. I didn't mean to give him a stray there, but uh, really, that's pretty much all the All-Star team is. I mean, Josh Hart. I mean, is he even like a superb caliber player to be on the Team USA? Just think about it. This is in every single all NBA teams, all NBA players. That's who they picked for the team. That's really all they can get anymore, really. I mean, you got Luka Doncic playing for freaking Sylvania, but we can't afford to get like no freaking LeBron James or we can't get a no Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. Well, no, I don't think we'd be able to get Nikola Jokic, but uh, yeah. So that's basically the gist of that. And I just wanted to talk about the Lakers here for a little bit before we head out for the day. Um, Obviously the Lakers are in really good shape, having a pretty solid offseason, I would say, acquiring um some better help around their superstars Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Um, but when you really look at their roster, you start to wonder, are they thinking about the future at all? Because I mean, yeah, you got Max Christie, but aside from him, who's really gonna be the Lakers' future? Because I mean, think about it, really. Anthony Davis is 30. He's not gonna be around for much longer. LeBron James, I mean, I'm sorry, but he's as good as gone next season as if Bronny James can recover enough to play in the NBA. Uh, they acquired Cam Reddish. That's great. Bad player, solid acquire for the money. D'Angelo Russell, not very great. I will say that. Uh, let's see who else. Jared Vanderbilt, pretty solid. Gabe Vincent's pretty solid, but not really a future piece in my opinion. Austin Reeves, probably like the most likely to be a piece of the future. Jalen Hood-Schifino, who they just got from the draft. Maxwell Lewis, Rui, he definitely can be a piece of the future, and Max Christie. So when you really look at their roster, it doesn't seem like, nobody really stands out when it comes to future wise, because Rui's had enough years. I mean, he's not gonna become a superstar, and I mean, I'm not buying into the hype to Max Christie because I mean, he played a couple preseason games. Yeah, he averaged 20 points, but when you really like look at that, how many people are out there averaging 20, 30 points in the summer league and they don't even get a shot in the NBA? So, um it's not really surprising to me there. So, not a big deal. Obviously, Lakers, they can go to the future when they want to go to the future, but I just really don't think they're really planning enough given the fact that how many more years that they got left here of this like run? A year, 2 years maybe? We don't know when LeBron's gonna retire. We don't know if he's gonna wait for freaking Bryce and Bronny to play in the NBA. Heck, I mean, he could retire next season for all we know. But it's just really tough to tell with what the Lakers are doing here. Great offseason. Again, I'm not trying to diss them, but you just gotta start to wonder when they're gonna start actually thinking about that, given the fact that LeBron James is running out of time in his career. Um, but all right. Moving on quickly here, just really quickly. Cade Cunningham. Uh, Aside from my list of like dark horse, most improved players here, probably Jalen Green's on there. Uh, let's see, Josh Giddey, probably definitely on there. Uh, Cade Cunningham is probably at the top of my list. I mean, he's had a good amount of time now to like turn into a perennial superstar, but nobody really talks about him anymore. Um, I feel like the last couple of drafts have really just kind of overshadowed Cade Cunningham. I mean, he was the number one overall pick, and I think people forget that, and I think people don't give him enough credit for how much he's worked through already, because obviously he missed most of last year due to the injury. But I'm hearing in training camp he's looking really, really, really good. Uh, so look out for him to be like a perennial all-star player this upcoming season. Um, Obviously, I'm not gonna put no guarantees on that, but with injuries, you never know. Um, but I think Cade Cunningham's definitely already better than Zion, at least. Um, so I guess we're just gonna have to see about that. Um, when it does get closer to the NBA season, expect more like NBA predictions, NBA previews, but for now, there's just not really much I can go off of, given the fact all the teams are still like in summer camp or whatever the type of camp they have, preseason, whatever. I don't know when preseason starts, so expect me to cover a couple of preseason games. Uh, Obviously, I think I'm not really sure what it is, but uh, NBA regular season tournament thingy majig, whatever the frick they're doing there. I am really confused about the NBA in-season tournament and why they did it, and and what's the point of it, given the fact that, I mean, what is the point of it? I mean, it's just gonna be the same thing. I mean, players are gonna sit out. What? They're gonna get 50K. That's like a chunk. That's a bit. That's like barely a smidge of what they actually make in the NBA. So you're gonna have sit outs. You're gonna have load management. It's just not gonna be great. And I mean, obviously, they expect just everyone to just hop on the bus. Oh yeah, NBA in-season tournament. Wow, this is so cool. You get a whole entire trophy for it? A trophy for what? Winning a little tournament from who's gonna be in there? OKC, the Knicks. I mean, they're gonna have a bunch of bottom dwelling teams in that tournament just because, they feel like, oh, well, we really have nothing to lose here. Might as well just go for this, win something at least. So, I don't expect that to like really be popular among fans. I don't expect a lot of people to watch it because it just really seems like such a stretch to just throw that out there and just instantly expect it to be like, oh wow, this is gonna be so good. Uh, but I mean, is it something? Absolutely. I mean, it's something to do for them, and I think it's good for the game, them adding it. Uh, I think it's I think they've got to do something about load management before they do something like this, though. Um, just quickly while we're on the topic of the NBA, we're gonna get into the talk about expansion because the last time we expanded was in what, like 2003, 2004, which was the Hornets. Um, so it's been a minute, right? And people have got to start wondering, when is going to be the next expansion? And I'm really excited for it. I know a lot of fans who want Las Vegas to get a team, Seattle to get a team. Personally, I would love Nashville to get a team just because, maybe then I could start going to some NBA games because Nashville's not that far away. They already got Memphis, a team from Memphis, but I think they could fit Nashville in there. Um, but just on the topic of expansion, um, I feel like it needs to happen soon for the NBA to grow to the next level. Uh, Obviously sitting at 30 teams, so I mean they obviously don't have as much popularity as the NFL does, just because of viewership reasons and stuff. But not many people really care about the regular season anymore. And I feel like if they add like two or four teams would be great. Don't get me wrong, but they're not gonna do that just because it would just cost a ton of money to have multiple expansion drafts and have like a pool of players taken from teams. But um, when you really look at it, I think the time has never been more ready, and I think Adam Silver is extremely open to the idea of expansion. I just think it really has to do everything with the CBA and will they have enough money to do a proper expansion? Because last time there was an expansion, obviously the Hornets, that didn't work out very well. So I think they're honestly more of anything just scared to do it just because they don't want another Hornets, right? Because the Hornets are by far the worst franchise in the entire NBA right now. Uh, Obviously not existing for that long, but genuinely they have not done anything since they have been expanded to the next team. So it's just really a matter of time before Adam Silver finally hits the go on that, and I think it'll be probably let's just give a proper date here. I think off season of 2024, not this coming off season, but the off season after the 24 season ends. Like not this next off season, like the 23-24 NBA season, but the 24-25 off season. So, I think that would probably be the most realistic point for them to do a major expansion draft. But honestly, it really depends on media rights and if they can get the deal done. So, just something to look out here for the next couple of years in the future of the NBA. Uh, Obviously, NBA's viewership's only going up, but I think definitely adding an expansion team or two would definitely help that. All right, so quickly before we head out for the day, I just want to preview NFL. Obviously, we're gonna need to talk about the NFL more, given the fact that it's starting very very soon. But between the NCAA and the NBA and the NFL, I've had my hands full, so I haven't really had time to talk much about the NFL. But I just want to just quick put a quick note in here real quick. I don't know if I really see anybody beating the Chiefs this year. Um, I mean, really, they're returning basically everyone they had last year. So, um, probably the biggest threat to the Chiefs would be the Bengals, obviously the Eagles, in their own conference, Bengals, Buffalo. Let's see. I'm really high on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, I definitely see Trevor Lawrence moving to a Pro Bowler to a perennial superstar quarterback. It just makes a lot of sense to me, just because of the fact that they improved a lot position wise this year, and they've got more wide receivers. They've got better defense. It really seems like they just put in the work in the offseason, and obviously adding an extra running back. Gotta love that. Tank Bigsby, love that guy, man. He's a whole player. He's a whole beast. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they pan out and if they live up to their expectations. Because I I definitely see Jacksonville maybe even winning 10 games this season, maybe even over that. But I I don't know if I'll see them deep playoff run or less deep playoff run. But I definitely see them as a top tier team in the NFL this season. Um, just gonna hold on. Let me just. Oh, there we go. Sorry. We're back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I accidentally closed out of the live stream. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, we're back. Sorry about that, everyone. Just a mistake on my end. I accidentally clicked out of the tab, so that's on me. But we are still here. Um, sorry. Before that happened, I was talking about the Detroit Lions. Um, yeah, I really feel really heavy on the Detroit Lions this season in the NFL. I mean, obviously Jared Goff, I don't see him really improving that much, obviously, but I feel like he gets the job done at quarterback, obviously, and improving the running back core with David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, trading Swift out was, I think, a great decision, given the fact he's been injured time and time again. Uh, but I feel like they really improved all their position points. Uh, all except for really defense. Defense is probably the only thing I would say. Oh well, mm, kind of questionable there. But I see them being really really solid this season, and I see them possibly winning their um division. Honestly, who's all in that division? I just want to see real quick. Let me just check. Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings. So yeah, I definitely could see the Lions winning out their conference just because they're winning out their division. Just because it's obviously not that. Obviously, you got Jordan Love, you got Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins there. So it's really not a lot of competition that they're gonna have to deal with. So it'll be definitely interesting to see that. But I think we're gonna end it right here. I think we've talked for a good bit here. Uh, Next time I will stream will probably be tomorrow. Let's see. I'll just have to look real quick. Um, but most likely tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I'll be streaming again, and then Saturday, and then we're gonna skip a day, Sunday, and then we're gonna be back streaming on Monday. So look out for that. Auburn special on Saturday. Tomorrow we're gonna just continue off like doing more college predictions, but that'll do it for today. I'm your host Griffin King, and I will see you guys next time.